When I was a young boy, I dreamed of exploring a strange new planet in the far reaches of space. An alien world, with the remains of civilizations past and powerful monsters. My friends and I would travel in great ships and send forth robot helpers into the unbreathable atmosphere of this world beyond suns. Photography and diving has given me the key to this limitless world of wonder and adventure. My imagination is fired by Jacques Cousteau in the 1950s, but it is Alvin that introduces me to the deep ocean in the 1970s. Expeditions to the spreading centers at the plate boundaries in the Atlantic and Pacific, capped by the discovery of the hot water vent animals and the black smokers, show how rich in surprises the deep sea can truly be. Giant red-headed tube worms and millions of blind shrimp with heat detectors on their backs all follow a food chain starting with bacteria able to produce life from the heat and chemicals at the center of the earth. The 1977 Galapagos Rift expedition allows us to try John Isaac's idea of baiting in animals to a camera on a timer. We test the idea first in Loch Ness, but only a lone eel trips our sonar trigger. On to the North Pole with Joe McGinnis, with dives under the ice to launch probes 15,000 feet to the bottom of the top of the world. Joe tells me of his dream to find Canada's northernmost known shipwreck, the Breadalbane. Crushed by the ice in the summer of 1853, she was part of the great search for the Franklin expedition. After 3 summers of searching, we find the Breadalbane in 340 feet of water, less than 200 miles from the magnetic North Pole. Joe has the marvelously mad idea of constructing a springtime, 25 degrees below zero, camp on the ice just before it breaks up. Dive holes are blasted through 7 feet of ice, and we attempt the first use of a one-man submersible under ice. The Wasp is filmed during a survey by a Chris Nicholson remotely operated vehicle, or ROVE. Finally, there is the reward of seeing a well-preserved wooden ship of the last century, draped in the colorful biological garments that only the cold seas can produce. A lone rove is a platform of choice to document the 2 1812 warships Hamilton and Scourge, 300 feet down in Lake Ontario. Because they are submerged in cold, dark, relatively inactive freshwater, they will probably be the 2 best preserved sealing warships that we will ever find. Cutlasses and cannons at the ready, the bones of her faithful crew nearby. A true ghost ship of the deep. In 2 projects a year apart, roves have proven to be a breakthrough technology. Though happy with the results from a heavy, expensive oil field robot, Al Chandler, Chris Nicholson, Mike Cole, and I set out to develop a new class of lightweight, inexpensive, user-friendly roves that will give easy access to the first 1,000 feet of the deep. William Beebe and Otis Barton came to Bermuda in the 1920s because it is an easy, day-tripping window into the ocean's depths. It is a thrill for us when Otis Barton is present for the first year of the Beebe project in 1984 on the 50th anniversary of the first half-mile down dive. Eugenie Clark has come with us to study the little-known six-gill shark that are being caught below 2,000 feet by legendary diver and waterman Teddy Tucker. We spend 2 summers deploying baited cameras and retrieving animals with long lines, nets, and traps. In 1986, we are ready to try what I consider one of the great undone things in the world. Go down in a submersible, put out a free lunch, turn off the lights, and wait to see what comes and eats your lunch. The first shark arrives in 17 minutes, giving us an all-time great thrill. And the damage to Andre Galern's Pisces sub is easily repaired. The sizes and the numbers of the sharks and other animals coming to the bait amazes us. There has to be a lot of food to support animals like this. What is the food chain? What is the possibility of even larger animals? Eugenie Clark, David Duboulet, and I set out to do a series of stories that looks at ocean life vertically. Starting on the Cayman Wall, we combine David's scuba coverage with the rows and the subs. A TV-viewed macro SLR is tested, as is a 25,000 watt-second monster flash. The small roves really strut their stuff for the first time in Monterey Canyon. Deep schools of fish at night, basket starfish in wide angle and close-up, all being photographed from the surface as part of the greatest video game ever. Mike, Keith, Jeff, Goober, and Geek, the creation of a team of robo-divers to fill in the gaps between scuba and submersibles. Koji Nakamura in Japan helps us to arrange the most wonderful expedition into the 7,000-foot deep Suruga Bay at the foot of Mount Fuji. Though only 2 hours by car from Tokyo and heavily fished, Suruga Bay is a jewel appreciated by scores of Japanese divers. David's images, as always, just blow me away. The roves begin their coverages just below 200 feet and work to over 800 feet. 4-inch snipefish love to forage together, head down at 500 feet. Night is a special time when animals from the deeper regions come up within our range, some to become wee-hour snacks. Rove and giant spider crab face off for a sumo match. The French submersible Nautil gives us tantalizing glimpses down to the bottom. A chimera with egg cases trailing circles over some miniature lantern sharks. black Portuguese sharks, and eels from Alien. An abyssal cusk eel at 7,000 feet. A Pacific sleeper shark close to 30 feet in length, sticking its head into the port at 4,000 feet, makes my buddy Ralph White's day. The tragedy of the Titanic has passed into legend and become a cautionary 20th century fable on the perils of worshiping technology. To find and image the Titanic became the Mount Everest of deep-sea challenges. The surface-towed vehicles of the 1985 French-American expedition literally snagged the brass ring, producing many happy faces. Alvin and Natil both dive on Titanic on separate occasions. In the summer of 1991, the most ambitious deep-sea filming project ever sails into the North Atlantic. We are diving the Titanic with the two Russian 20,000-foot capable submersibles Mir 1 and 2. The catalyst is the making of an IMAX 70mm movie. Broadcast video, 3D video, and stills are done at the same time. Special HMI deep-sea lighting packages are constructed that produce 20 times more light than has ever been available in the past. The lighting and the two mirrors working together on the Titanic produce images of somber majesty. The Titanic, when you can truly see it, is a haunted Victorian mansion of a shipwreck. Al Giddings, Stephen Lowe, and I are privileged to make this voyage back in time with my old friend Anatoly Sagalevich, for years the head of deep submersible diving in the Soviet Union. We glide across the still well-preserved bow section, and climb up the 5-story high reciprocating engines. In the totally devastated aft section. We finally share a shudder as we maneuver both subs underneath the stern of the Titanic for a first and last look at the 23-foot starboard propeller. The oceans are both life-giver and graveyard for mankind, still unknown and the greatest adventure we can imagine.